Vaccines contain specific ingredients that ensure both their safety and effectiveness. Each ingredient plays a vital role in making vaccines function as intended. Only ingredients that are essential are included. In this video, we'll discuss 5 different types of vaccine ingredients, their purposes, and some common misconceptions and myths about certain ingredients. The first vaccine ingredient we're going to talk about is antigens. Antigens are the components in vaccines to which an immune response is generated. Antigens mimic an infection and train the immune system to recognize and fight the disease. Vaccine antigens can come from whole viruses or bacteria, parts of viruses or bacteria, toxins produced by bacteria, or nucleic acids. In addition to antigens, some vaccines may contain adjuvants, which enhance the immune response to a vaccine. This is especially important for older adults who often experience a decline in their immune system's ability to fight off pathogens as they age. Adjuvants in vaccines help increase the immunogenicity of the vaccines, which can help aging adults mount a better immune response. Adjuvants also allow vaccines to use lower quantities of antigens and reduce the number of doses required. Here is a list of routine vaccines that contain adjuvants. 5 adjuvants are approved for use in the United States. Aluminum, which is used as an adjuvant in several vaccines, has often been at the center of misinformation and vaccine hesitancy. We'll discuss several misconceptions about aluminum and other vaccine ingredients later in this video. Stabilizers are another important group of vaccine ingredients. These substances help maintain the vaccine's integrity during manufacturing, storage, and transportation. Common stabilizers include sugar and gelatin. These are the same ingredients found in things like Jell-O and other foods. Some religions do not permit the consumption of pork, which can deter certain people from receiving vaccines made with porcine gelatin. However, many religious leaders and organizations allow vaccination because the gelatin is injected instead of ingested, and because the benefits of vaccination outweigh the dietary principles of those religions. Some vaccines are also made with preservatives to protect against bacterial and fungal contamination. Preservatives are only necessary in vaccine vials that contain more than 1 dose. One preservative, Thimerosal, has been the subject of controversy for many years. During the vaccine manufacturing process, some ingredients are used to produce the vaccine but are removed prior to distribution. These ingredients may exist in the final vaccine product in very, very small quantities that are not harmful to humans. Antibiotics, egg proteins, formaldehyde, and yeast are examples of manufacturing byproducts. In order to address vaccine hesitancy, it's important to recognize and address misconceptions about vaccines and their ingredients. This video will cover common misconceptions about aluminum, formaldehyde, thimerosal, and egg proteins. Aluminum, an adjuvant used in some vaccines, has been the subject of scrutiny for many years. Some people are concerned that the aluminum in vaccines can build up within a person's body, eventually causing harmful effects. However, this claim is not supported by any scientific studies, and no evidence has been found that aligns with this concern. Aluminum is all around us. It's the 3rd most abundant element on Earth and exists naturally in plants, soil, water, and air. Aluminum is also found in various foods, beverages, baby formulas, health products, antiperspirants, and more. In fact, most adults ingest 7 to 9 milligrams of aluminum per day just from their diet. But what about aluminum that is injected through vaccination? Well, once aluminum enters the bloodstream, whether ingested or injected, the body processes it the same way. Aluminum is carried to the kidneys, and approximately half of the aluminum is removed from the body within the very next day. Half of the remaining amount is removed the next day, and so forth, until nearly all of the aluminum has been removed. trace amounts of aluminum end up in other parts of the body, but in such low amounts that it does not cause harm. Humans are exposed to more aluminum from food over time than from vaccines on a single day. Scientific studies also show that vaccines do not increase the total amount of aluminum in the bloodstream. Some parents worry about the aluminum in vaccines that are given to babies and young children. It's important to understand that, like adults, babies also ingest aluminum through breast milk and formula. The total amount of aluminum that babies will receive from vaccines in their first 6 months of life is about 4.4 milligrams. In contrast, infants who are breastfed ingest about 7 milligrams, and formula-fed infants ingest about 38 milligrams. Infants who are fed soy formula typically ingest about 117 milligrams in the same time frame. Delaying infant vaccines to avoid aluminum exposure doesn't make them safer. In fact, delaying these crucial vaccines leaves children vulnerable to dangerous diseases in their first few months of life. Another misunderstood vaccine ingredient is formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is a manufacturing byproduct that can be found in trace amounts in certain vaccines. Although very high concentrations of formaldehyde can be harmful, the amount of formaldehyde in vaccines is not sufficient to cause health problems. Formaldehyde is essential in human metabolism, and all humans have detectable quantities of naturally occurring formaldehyde in their blood. The average amount of formaldehyde in an infant's blood is 1,500 times greater than the amount they're exposed to in vaccines. The next ingredient we'll discuss is thimerosal. Thimerosal is a preservative used in some types of flu vaccine. Although it used to be present in several vaccines given to infants, it was removed from all childhood vaccines by 2001. Thimerosal contains ethylmercury, a compound commonly confused with methylmercury. Methylmercury is all around us in our environment. When mercury is released from rocks in soil, it enters the air and typically accumulates in large bodies of water. From there, microorganisms in these bodies of water convert the mercury into methylmercury, which builds up in fish. This methylmercury can make its way to humans through the food chain in these fish and other animals. At high levels, methylmercury can be toxic and can cause what's commonly known as mercury poisoning. Many people were concerned that thimerosal could cause mercury poisoning in themselves, their children, or unborn babies. However, thimerosal contains ethylmercury, not the highly toxic methylmercury that is usually associated with mercury poisoning. Methylmercury is far more likely than ethylmercury to cause mercury poisoning. These compounds are processed differently in the human body, and ethylmercury is excreted from the body 10 times more quickly than methylmercury, preventing accumulation in the body. Humans are exposed to far more naturally occurring methylmercury than the ethylmercury contained in vaccines. Some parents were also concerned that thimerosal could cause autism. However, numerous studies have refuted this claim. Thimerosal was removed from childhood vaccines out of an abundance of caution, and even after it was removed, autism rates continued to increase, which is the opposite of what would be expected if it caused autism. To this day, there is insufficient evidence that demonstrates an association between thimerosal and autism. Egg products, which may be a manufacturing byproduct in some vaccines, are often a concern for people with egg allergies. The yellow fever, influenza, and MMR vaccines are 3 vaccines that may contain residual amounts of egg proteins. The viruses used to make these vaccines are grown in eggs or cells isolated from chicken embryos. After the viruses replicate within the eggs, the virus is extracted from the eggs and purified to remove most of the egg proteins. Generally, people with egg allergies can safely get these vaccines. The yellow fever vaccine, which is not routinely recommended in the United States, contains sufficient amounts of egg proteins to cause a reaction. People who are interested in getting the yellow fever vaccine for themselves or their children should consult with their primary care provider, especially if they're allergic to eggs. While the influenza vaccine is also derived from eggs, it contains such minimal amounts that people who are allergic to eggs can still receive the vaccine. There are also flu vaccine options available that do not contain egg proteins. Antibiotics, which are vaccine manufacturing byproducts, are used to prevent bacterial contamination during manufacturing. Similar to egg proteins, when the vaccine is purified, most antibiotics are removed. Trace quantities remain in some vaccines, but the antibiotics most likely to cause severe allergic reactions, such as penicillin, are not used in vaccines. Fetal cells are another manufacturing byproduct used in select vaccines. Fetal cells can be used by researchers to grow and replicate a virus in. More information about fetal cells and their use in vaccines can be found in a different video. However, it's important to know that vaccines do not contain parts of fetuses or fetal cells, nor do they alter a vaccine recipient's DNA. The last thing we want to review is not a specific ingredient, but a concept. Paracelsus, an influential German scientist, famously said, "All things are poison, and nothing is without poison. Only the dose permits something not to be poisonous." This is the idea that the dose makes the poison. For example, we all need water to survive. However, when consumed at a high enough dose, even water can be toxic. All vaccines use the lowest amount of antigens, adjuvants, stabilizers, and preservatives to make a safe and effective vaccine. Too much of a given vaccine ingredient could be poisonous, but since the dose makes the poison, these ingredients are not harmful at the amounts given in vaccines. Throughout this video, we learned about the different types of vaccine ingredients and some common misconceptions about them. It's important to remember that vaccines contain only ingredients that are necessary for their safety and effectiveness. Every ingredient serves a specific purpose, and just because a specific ingredient can be toxic at high levels does not mean that it is toxic in a vaccine.